Well, greetings YouTube. Today I have a wind tunnel twin chamber. Had a lot of requests on this vacuum. It's not common anymore. It's kind of like a Lewitt. It was so bad and so cheap that they were commonly thrown away. And in retrospect, they do clean better than a lot of junk that's out there today. But it's still not the best cleaner. Not by far, and I know a lot of people have fond memories of this machine. It was never anything special to me, but looking back, it does have some interesting characteristics that we're going to talk about. I think first of all, foremost, let's talk about the twin chamber, since I have that here, and I washed everything last night. So, Hoover, this is before Dyson really hit the American scene. This is kind of, you know, 1999 to 2000-ish, maybe 2005, 2006. They made a lot of these. And so let's look at the intake filter. It's a screen with a big HEPA cartridge. And then this slides down. First of all, I'm going to wipe this down because I want it to look pretty for the customer. So they called it a twin chamber because there's two chambers. One for the filter, one for the larger debris to collect. The problem with this is there really was no good cyclone going. There was really no good anything going. So this filter had to be changed on a fairly regular basis. At least tapped out every time, but the stuff gets in it very, very fast. So it's not a very effective design. So in terms of stopping it, so you would change this cartridge, and these cartridges were always kind of expensive from Hoover, but Hoover like kept creeping the price up to the point where they started making the aftermarket ones. There was an all-time high when these cartridges were like $50 a piece, and that was, you know, that was like back in 2004, 2005. I mean, these things were expensive. So this is one of the first bagless systems to really prove the point that bags were going to be less expensive. And they first came up with this system. This works off a bypass, which means the debris is going in here, and then going into the motor. The original twin chamber was a Hoover Elite with this cyclone pack strapped on it, so it would actually blow the dust into it, and it worked alright. Where this is more like a Hoover self-propelled that they stripped down. I love that squeak, and there's always this big amount of dirt around this gasket. I mean, it is just, and it leaks dirt. It sucks in dirt as it leaks dirt. I mean, we'll particle test it in a minute, but you'll know it's going to be bad. Another thing was that there was yet another filter on this machine. Actually, there's another side filter too, but we'll talk about that in a second. So there was this little intake filter. It sat under here. Give you guys an idea. So it sat under here awkwardly, and you can't just pull this thing up. It's awkward. And then there's a screw. Goddamn screw you got to take to get off of it. So what that means is that the customer, this would fill up because a lot of big debris got past this, because it's just not sealed. There are no tight tolerances. There was nobody making things like they do now. As we know, the game has changed very much, bagless. But so there aren't any tight tolerances in here, so stuff just collects in there, and they need to be cleaned out and changed occasionally. Now they're no longer available. So that brings the other thing, is this is a Maytag product. That's right, this is when Maytag owned it. I should love that squeaking. So it's particularly kind of a bad time when Hoover was really making some junk. So if I tilt this back, you're gonna see, yep, there is a valve in there that's actuated by this thing. Clean that off. So that would actuate the valve for your tools. Never really quite worked right. These valves are usually stuck. This one's not. This one's, well, it's kind of stuck in the open position more than not really closing right, but you want it open. So anyways, so that is kind of some of the quirks And you can just see the plumbing on this is like that air path is fucked. And I'm sure YouTube is going to dock me for cursing and saying all sorts of things that you little kiddies just can't hear because of whatever in the Google Collective. Anyways, that reminds me, please subscribe. We're just under where we need to be right now. So if I can get another 50, 100 of you to subscribe, that not only would that be awesome for us, but that keeps us kind of in the good graces of Google, which is more why we're continuing to ask for that. We're not trying to, see how fast we can get to fame. No, I don't really care about that. It's just about search engine optimization, being in the good graces of Google U-proofs. We'll give you an idea how many bagless Hoovers and bagged Hoovers that use rubber belts. You can see the rubber starting to off-gas in the package of this. That's how often we see these machines in here. This is the first time I've seen one of these in a couple of years. So that's kind of the cool thing, is that these machines are now kind of rare and somewhat collectible. I wouldn't buy one, but I'm sure somebody would be very, very happy to have one of these. Probably a millennial who collected vacuums. These are just squeaky, so we're going to give it some kosher loving. Let's see if I can't just... And this whole axle can move in here, so in that case we're going to lubricate that. And the wheels on this actually have like metal parts that the wheels roll around, and this was not an attempt at quality. This was just kind of how things were made back when. This is before 3D printing was a thing. This was before, a lot of that was super popular. Another thing about these base plates, these old Hoover base plates, I probably pointed this out before. These little rubber things fall off. They don't do anything. The biggest thing they do is maybe seal the side of the base plate. They don't really agitate ever anything. And to prove my point, you can see if I move a screwdriver, it does not move that around at all. So those are just kind of a gimmick. And on very new Hoovers, these are just rubber. These don't even have little fingers on them. So that's kind of a thing. Proof that they were pointless. I'm also replacing the brush roller. I didn't mention that. The brushes are worn. The bearings and end caps on this. This is one of those Hoover deals where it was cool having a serviceable brush roller, but again, one of the great things TTI did when they bought this company is they modernized their parts as much as possible. And please don't contact me asking, can I get this part for you? These are not sales videos. I don't own a company that I can just sell you parts from. I just fix the damn parts. Alright. It's just dust. There's just dust everywhere on this machine. It is one dirty mess. And it's an example of why bagless machines are just the. Alright. Clean this up the best we can. I washed this filter cover. But what's cool, interesting fact about these filters is this machine filters so bad that large debris builds up on the other side of this filter. I mean large, like you can find Christmas tree needles, pet hair, all that stuff. Again, because the tolerances are so loose, they pass through the machine. So brand new, genuine Hoover. You can get a HEPA filter to put in here. Again, it's not sealed. It's not going to actually move a whole lot of air through there. So I don't personally see a reason running a HEPA filter in this unit. So one other thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up the lens. You will see that the lens is very, very dirty. And that is because it breathes dust out behind it. So we're just going to give it some Picasso action there and clean the lens. So let's see if the light bulb's still good. Yep. And Hoover is one of the first companies to really use these little peanut bulbs. Kirby did too, but they really popularized. And what that did was make it so we don't have to change light bulbs, because those EM bulbs last a long ass time. Alright. So we got a few paint marks and stuff on the side, and that's about it. And you can see how fast I can service this machine compared to something like a Dyson. You guys keep asking me for a Shark service video. That's probably not going to happen since they get thrown out. And that's their intent. It's kind of like a Dirt Devil service video. Nobody's going to pay us to do a service on that. It doesn't make sense financially for anybody. You know, unless somebody was going to go onto my Patreon, and pay for us to service the machine, which we do, service offered. But it's just not something that the average Joe's going to do. It's got stuff everywhere. Just you got the sparkly stuff molded into the plastic. It's just great. It's so like early 2000s, the era of this machine, the ideas and the things they could get away with saying and advertising. And again, Dyson was bankrupt at this point, and fighting with Phantom Technologies was splitting up into EuroPro, and all these things were happening. So really just Hoover and Eureka were making bagless, and Bissell. And that was, I guess, Dirt Devil. Companies were making them, but they still were not super popular yet. They were just getting popular. And this is at the point where people were coming into the vacuum shop asking about bagless. And how is this going to save me money and all that? You'd be like, well, there's that $40 filter. There's that $50 filter. And they'd look at you and think you're lying to them. And then they'd buy the machine. And some of them would come back later for service. And lo and behold, they would need that filter. I'm just going to clean up. So this has one of these guys. These things are just becoming popular too, turbo brushes. They weren't super popular with regular vacuums yet. Let's see if that one spins up. So that is how we do that. That is serviced up and good to go. Now just quickly, I'm going to run it and make sure the brush roller is okay. I already know it doesn't have any clogs in it, but I don't like to get the canisters dirty. I like to hand them back to the customer very, very clean. Of course, you want to plug the machine in when you're testing it. You know, it's kind of quiet compared to a lot of today's vacuums. And these don't get a whole lot of airflow. They don't get a whole lot of water lift. You know, specs are nothing to brag home about on any of these. So yeah, that's a Hoover bagless twin chamber job. Oh, I was gonna particle test this. That will be fun. All right. Again, they could get away with a lot of things they can't get away with now. As always, please thumbs up this video and subscribe.